Wednesday in the NBA is always a busy night as the slate is packed. Last night was no different. 11 games across the league, joined again by Vince and Richard and Tim Legler. So what was the biggest takeaway? Biggest takeaway from last night? I'll start with you, Vince.
My biggest takeaway is the 76ers right now 6-2, 4-game winning streak, second in the East. You hear me? Second in the East after all the noise that we've been hearing about Ben Simmons. That easily can be a distraction and not playing well. But Joel Embiid is getting help. Niang averaging 12 points. Seth Curry 17 points. Maxey 14 points. Korkmaz 11 points. I mean, they're getting some help from everyone. Everybody's contributing and doing the job. And right now, the Sixers are making some noise.
Vince, I was watching Legs like smile and nod as you were talking, like you were in his head. What do you think?
Well, listen, beautiful. You look at all the things they have dealt with, not to mention the fact the distraction with Ben Simmons off the court and what that has done to that team. That's got to be a difficult thing to play for. I think for me, though, my biggest takeaway last night is the Nets. Here's why. That's their cleanest game of the year. 34 assists. If you take out some rough shooting nights from Blake Griffin and James Harden, they shoot almost 60% from the field. The rest of those guys, it's a good team they beat too. It's the Atlanta Hawks, the conference finals from a year ago. We've talked so much about what's going on with the Nets. Last night, they showed you what they're capable of when they move the basketball, and even on a night when James Harden still hasn't really broken out, Richard.
Yeah, he's done good. We got to keep our distance, even though we're both vaccinated.
That's right.
No, well, look, for me, there was a lot of things, but one thing that I want to talk about, I don't even know if it's going to show up on the graphics. The Raptors have actually done a pretty good job, right? That is something that I want to give a little bit of credit to Nick Nurse. It is very difficult. You lose the greatest Raptor ever in Kyle Lowry. You know, you have injuries. You have a brand new young team, and you know what they've done? They have just played consistent basketball, and that starts to show you a consistent organization. When don't matter ups and downs, you look at Miami, San Antonio, they might have some downs, but their downs are never super down. They just are kind of somewhat consistent.
All right, but there's a lot to choose from. John Morant is must-see TV, although he tweeted that the whole team is must-see TV. That's what he's saying. And DeMar DeRozan goes for 37 again, but who is the player for you that stole the show?
Who's going with first? Me?
I'm going with Tim. Well, Richard's going with you, so I'll go with
I'm going to go with Jordan Poole. Okay, now, this is a guy that had a great last couple months of the season, so it's not a shock that he came in very confident. Here's why it's been so important what he's done. Obviously, they're still dealing with depth issues waiting on Klay Thompson. The 3 worst games of the season by Steph Curry. I'm talking about games where he made 9 threes total collectively in those games. He shot 30% from the field. In those 3 games, all wins, Jordan Poole averaged 24 points a game, 50%. He's made up for the 3-point production. So it's not just the fact that he's playing well. It's when he's playing well on nights when Steph Curry's struggling.
Well, Richard doesn't totally understand how microphones work, so he's trying to remember who he said.
I was like, who did I say?
Who did I choose? There's so many to choose from, Richard.
Honestly, it was Paul George. No, Paul George. Look, they've got off to a little bit of a slow start with the Clippers, and obviously there's no Kawhi, but they knew that going into the season. And I was one of the people that truly believe that Paul George is one of those guys that plays better when he's a 1A. He plays more aggressive. He gets locked in. He does all the things that you want him to do. Kind of like the Indiana Paul George. That's the guy that we see. When he becomes a 1B, I think he struggles a little bit. So last night, the way he played was so impressive, and Paul George is pretty good.
Vince, not in your head, so I'm going to say you like Paul George. Real quick, just the name.
Like
the name. Who is it? Paul George?
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant,
man.
Kevin Durant. All right.
Did you see his third quarter?
Gaining up with Legler. Gaining up with Legler.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.